Okay, let's get to it. New day, new marker. Today we're going to be continuing our unit on the new challengers. And I think the reading, which is also from the franchise era, which clearly seems like a pretty great book, is by Monica Sandler. And it's titled Network Streaming, TV Broadcasters in the Digital Space. And this goes straight into like the sort of two major key points. But this chapter is great for our unit because it's thinking in terms of, we've been so focused, not just in the class, but in general, we've been so focused on the expansion of Netflix that we've only kind of not really been able to think about the sort of broader context of streaming media, and especially this moment where we're still kind of in the bubble. And so the book is thinking in terms of like 2010 to 2018, or the chapter. We're thinking, to our current moment. So let's like start from 2010 to now, right? This sort of moment where we're still in the bubble, and these conversations of cord cutting, but also not only the available. It's the question of the bubble becomes like, it's not only the question of, it's not just about the sort of services we're talking about, but it's about the fact that there are now enough viable services that it seems like no one can really feasibly get all of them, right? The big ones being the ones, Netflix, Hulu Plus, Amazon Prime, HBO now, now Disney Plus as well. Like 5 is already too many, right? That's kind of the moment where we're getting to, right? And then 2, in relation to that, today almost feels to me as if it's like the big reveal, almost like The Usual Suspects or something like that, or 7, these kind of movies where it's like now we really know who's in power, where we've been talking about the big 6 or the big 5 up until this point, but now we have like what we're really talking about is the new big 5, right? Which we'll kind of get to at the end of the chapter, right? That there is this giant power shift, because even the one infographic, the illusion of choice, about media conglomeration, that's already a few years old. The Schatz article, the much better and the much more important Schatz article about media conglomeration is also quite a few years old. So now, and I think to many of you, when I kept talking about how at one point 90% of the media that we consumed was produced by 6 conglomerates, so much of our time is spent on something like YouTube, right, or Netflix, that it didn't ring as true as I think maybe it should have. So I think getting us here will sort of really emphasize the big shift. But let's go ahead and into the introduction. But Sandler kind of introduces a number of terms that we haven't heard before, but I think are pretty useful. One including the idea of like, it's not just that, so we have entertainment, right? And this is what I mean by kind of precision, being rhetorically and intellectually precise all the time. It's not just any type of entertainment, but today we have big data based entertainment. That's what really kind of defines our media today. Right. And the other one being broadcast streaming, right? It's kind of an interesting turn of phrase, right? Broadcast isn't the same as streaming, but it's the idea of like broadcast television streaming. So between the two, right, what we're talking about, number one of the day, oh, my nose is itching. Okay. Oh, that's not good. It's big database entertainment, and how old media incumbents can't compete, right? So the NBCs, the CBSs, the Foxes, and the ABCs can't compete with the Hulus, the Netflixes, and also in them trying to get into streaming, this sort of new market or emerging market of broadcast streaming. So specifically, she talks about 3 services, right? One, which is NBC CISO, which is defunct, 2015 to 2017, RIP, CBS All Access, and CWC, right? And you know, basically, these people are all getting into the business because it's you know, it's more profitable than licensing their content out. 2010 becomes the moment, according to Sandler, that Hollywood, the industry, finally accepted that the term to streaming was the future, but the future not of media, the future of home video, right? There's still a market for theatrical release, right? But the issue of like home media and home viewing is really what streaming is about. Yes, increasingly, many of us don't go to theaters, but that's still not totally, it's not like, you know, the theater industry, film industry is going to die out, right? And for Sandler specifically, the 3 different approaches between the surface, I guess, the niche appeal as opposed to range of content, and then finally free with advertising. So we will talk about that in a second. I'm going to go scratch my nose.